Don't look now, but Bronny James might be breaking out and proving a lot of the doubters wrong while doing it. No matter what way you look at it, the guy's been playing great lately and showing a lot of growth while doing it. Earlier last week at the NBA level, not the G League level, dropping a career high 17 points in 30 minutes, not to mention on 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc, very efficient, 5 assists to go with it, and against a talented Bucks team, albeit against Doc Rivers. Or then for the G League level, having an absolutely tremendous week. Earlier on Monday night, dropping a new career high 39 points, and no, I'm not joking about that, dropping 39 points on 14 of 21 shooting, 4 of 8 from beyond the arc, 4 assists, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals to go with it, being a team high plus 19 in that game and all around leading their team to a victory. And then while it might not be 39 points, came right back around last night to drop 17 points on the second night of a back-to-back. Not to mention making 5 3-point shots, going 5 of 12 from beyond the arc, grabbing 6 rebounds, and leading their team with 9 assists to only 3 turnovers. And no matter what way you look at it, no matter how badly you try to critique him, the guy's definitely come a long way and, at this point, might be looking to be a steal for their team at that 55th overall draft pick, which many people clown them for, but now are looking a bit foolish themselves. So with that in mind here, we're going to talk about the growth that Bronny has undergone in only about a half a year here and what he might be able to become for their team, and maybe in the not so distant future at that. But before we get too far into it, let's quickly go over our game day picks with Underdog Fantasy. And if you're a new sign up, you can pick Luka Doncic to have higher than 0.5 points later tonight. So yeah, take advantage of that free pick. But then for my picks, for pick number 1, if you're not a new sign up, I got Luka Doncic having higher than 24.5 points with a discounted pick, dropping that down from 29.5 down to 24.5. Then for my second pick, I got Jackson Hayes having higher than 7.5 points. With the Pacers playing a really run and gun style play, that will likely benefit Hayes and likely will lead to him having higher than 7.5 points. Then for my third and final pick, I got Benedict Mathurin having higher than 9.5 points with a discounted pick, dropping that down from 12.5 down to 9.5. So if you want to follow along with me, or make your own picks, then be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy, and don't forget to use code JSM to get your free pick, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make a deposit. But now getting back to our topic, and like I mentioned with Bronny, definitely has been showing growth and really throughout the entire season, and beginning with the G League level, definitely showing some growth and some really good improvement throughout the entire season. During the tip-off tournament in which he played 7 games of, and that's at the beginning of the year if you're not aware, he averaged about 13.5 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists per game, about 3 turnovers per game, and only shooting a measly 37% from the field and an ugly 21.2% from 3. Yeah, not too good and very telling of the player he entered the league as. Not very confident, not very confident in his shooting ability, passing ability, or scoring ability on the court, which is very different to the player he now is, or simply the confidence that he now has. As compared to the regular season, in the 10 games that he's played so far at the G League level, Bronny's been averaging about 22.4 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, nearly 5 assists per game to about 3.5 turnovers per game, shooting 46% from the field, although 37.5% from 3. Nearly a 10% increase in the field goal percentage, along with a 15% increase in the 3-point percentage. So yeah, definitely an improvement, and not only there, but simply in his all-around game. Whether you're talking about the scoring ability, now scoring at all 3 levels and very confidently at that, the passing ability, often has been their point guard and actually has played fairly well in that role for them, growing into a better ball handler, reading the court much better compared to earlier this season, and it's all around improving his confidence out there on the court too. Take this play for example, operating as their point guard last night, running a high pick and roll with Kyler Kelly, a guy that's played very well for their team as well, and I would not be opposed to giving the guy a 10-day contract. But back to the play here, running a pick with Kyler Kelly, waiting for the defense to come off of him and they don't communicate, which leads to an open lane for Kyler Kelly, Bronny reading the play correctly, dishing it over the top of the defense for a wide open Kyler Kelly dunk, and a monstrous dunk at that. Or then during the second quarter, here we have Bronny connecting with Kyler Kelly again, but this time in transition, Bronny gets the rebound, brings the ball up the court slowly to read the defense, and eventually does find Kyler Kelly as he gets ahead of his matchup up the court, delivering it to him with a beautiful left-handed pass that barely gets over the top of the defender, right into the breadbasket of Kyler Kelly. him finishing with a layup and perfectly assisted by Bronny James. Great vision, great touch on the pass, and not to mention a left-handed pass, very reminiscent of a certain somebody that also makes pretty good left-handed passes for the Lakers, and delivering it perfectly to a teammate in the open court. And well, then combine that playmaking ability with some scoring ability, and Bronny could become a very versatile and talented offensive player. Here on this play, for example, operating as their point guard, running a pick with Quincy Olivari, the defender goes underneath the screen and leaving Bronny for a wide open 3-point shot, albeit a deep 3-point shot, which he takes and makes with confidence. A shot that he likely would have passed up on earlier this season and probably would not have had the confidence to even take. But now looking to this play and what he's able to do here and the shot that he's able to make, or the passes prior to that point, and all around the offensive game and the player that he is becoming for them, it's a very different player. Not to say they didn't have the skills or talent to do it, but he simply didn't have the confidence, and now he does. And with Bronny, I've often talked about what confidence can do for him, and really any young player for that fact, but especially for a guy like himself that's following in some pretty big footsteps, and has had a gigantic spotlight on him the entire time while doing it. Confidence is key, getting more reps to the G League level. No, it might not be the NBA level, but it can directly translate to better performance at the NBA level, which I point out before this performance against the Bucks last week. I think that was huge for him, not only with that, but leading up to it, the G League reps, what they were able to do for him, and his confidence to perform at that level, even on an NBA court, really is very transformative, and the guy that Bronny has become, the player that he has become, is completely different than he was only about 2 to 3 months ago. And obviously no, the role that he's currently filling at the G League level for them is not the role that he'd fill at the NBA level, at least not right away. Maybe one day he might grow into that combo guard that both playmakes and scores at a high level, but immediately at the NBA level, when he does become a role player for them, which might not be that far away at this point, maybe even next season, he'll be filling a 3-and-D role for them, which he has shown improvement in, and quite a bit of improvement at that too. Like I mentioned before, between the difference in the tip-off tournament to the regular season at the G League level, his shooting numbers have absolutely skyrocketed, and especially from the 3-point line. Going from a paltry 21.2% on only 4.3 attempts per game, 4.7 actually, up to 37.5% on 8 attempts per game, now nearly making the same amount of 3-point shots that he was taking during the tip-off tournament. So yeah, some obvious improvement here, and not to mention with many of those 3-point shots being step-back 3-point shots, off the dribble 3-point shots, and some very difficult shots, all of which are probably not what he'll do at the NBA level. More so taking catch-and-shoot threes, much easier shots compared to off the dribble shots, likely assisted directly by LeBron himself and or Luka Doncic, leading to some wide open shots directly from the corner, and he has been able to knock them down. I mean, with him taking about 8 3-point shots per game at the G League level, that's likely translatable to about 3 to 5 3-point shots per game in about 20 to 25 minutes per game, and that's fairly high volume shooting for a role player. Now again, there's obviously time between now and then, and he's got to prove more to do that, but between the 3-point shooting, and not to mention the defense, always has been his best strength in my opinion, and once again proving it to be a pretty good strength for him at the G League level, averaging about 2 steals per game, having a positive defensive win shares rating, all around making an impact and being a defensive pest out there on the court, even with the expanded offensive ability and opportunity on the court. And between that, the 3-point shooting, the offensive improvement, and simply the confidence going up, Bronny has shown a lot this season, and in a very short time, a lot of improvement on both ends of the court, and it might translate to him becoming a very viable role player in the not so distant future. And well, even if it wouldn't for whatever reason, we are talking about a 55th overall draft pick. Compare that to the 2023 NBA draft, the 55th overall draft pick being Isaiah Wong. You never hear about him, and for good reason too. We're talking about a 55th overall draft pick, a guy that likely has about 2 to 3 years in the NBA at best, maybe playing about 20 to 50 games at best, and probably a guy you never hear of again after about 5 years. Or even the 2022 NBA draft, Guy Santos does happen to be in the margin of a rotation for the Golden State Warriors. So at best, we're often talking about a marginal rotation player, and even more often, unfortunately a guy that's out of the NBA within a couple of years. So direct that and keep that same energy with Bronny. If the guy can become a role player for them by next season, or even the season after that one, and within the top 7 of the rotation, that's a pretty damn good outlook for a 55th overall draft pick, and something you cannot be mad about at all, which he has the ability to become even more than that in my opinion. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about Bronny's performance lately, both at the G League level and what he showed in the NBA earlier last week, and what he might be able to become for their team in the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.